and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonia Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How was your life?
Going. And make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. When you guys go to our website, you'll see all the different ways that you can support the show there, the ways that you can follow us there. You guys can help us out by going to Amazon. It's the holiday season. And any shopping that you guys do, if you click through that Amazon link, it helps us out. And the best thing that you guys could do to help out the show is to leave us a like, a comment, review, subscribe, share a clip that you like with somebody that you know. Check out our new clips channel on YouTube, Opposites Attract Podcast Clips, and subscribe to that. And just share it with somebody else.
Oh, that good stuff. So our boys are playing today, huh?
Yep. The Packers, go Pack, go. Ooh, dang it.
The other day I was at the store and some guy was like, oh, hey, nice sweater. I'm like, thank you. I looked down and I was like, oh, I'm wearing my Packer sweater.
Go, Pack, go!
You didn't know I had that on there, did you?
I didn't.
Go, Pack, go!
Nice.
Sorry if you guys aren't fans of the Packers, but we are. Hey, look, we got our owner's certificate right here. If you guys are watching.
Yes.
Sonia and I are both Packers owners.
People are talking shit. No,
They probably are.
it's so sad.
That they're not Packer fans?
That too.
It's okay. You guys can join us.
Yes.
But yeah. Dude, we've had it's been a while since we told the story about when we met Eddie Lakey. I met Eddie Lakey getting off a plane, and then he just happened to be a super cool dude. I talked to him about the podcast and about possibly being on. And then I sent him a message, and then we kind of messaged back and forth. And we were going to a football game, and he was like, where are you guys at? I'll meet up with you guys.
Yeah.
And he just freaking met up with us and tailgated with us, and we had a freaking blast. It was a Cardinals-Packers game.
So that day, I remember we had our little ones. They were in school, right?
It was a couple years ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was around this time. It was November time frame.
And we had plans on just tailgating.
Yeah.
Right?
We were just
there was
meeting
something
up.
going on. We weren't going to.
One of my Air Force friends was in town, and he was going to the game. He's also a Packer fan. And we were just, because, we don't get to see each other very often, it was one of those things like, well, let's just go meet up and tailgate.
Right.
But once we started getting into the vibe of things, and it was like, dude, we're kind of having fun. We're partying. Like, what if we just go to the game?
Right. And then, so that day, I'm like, wait, what about the kids?
Yeah.
And I can't remember who I called, but I'm like, let me make some phone calls.
Yeah, we both got on it right there in the parking lot, drinks in hand. You're like trying to figure out who's picking up the kids from school. I was trying to figure out like picking up tickets on Ticketmaster in the parking lot. You got that squared away. I got us the tickets. Then we started hitting up Eddie Lakey, and he's like, hey, we're going to be like, what section are you guys in?
Yeah.
And he just came and met up with us.
And we ended up going to the game.
Yeah. And the Packers won. It was if you guys are Cardinal or Packer fans, this is a game you'll probably remember where I think Aaron Rodgers got sacked, and his freaking helmet like came up, and he has like his eyes freaking wide open. He got freaking blasted when he got sacked. But that was that game.
Yeah. So we created that, made it happen.
Yep.
And yeah, we had a really good time.
That was fun. Dude, and we've gotten all the, well, not all, but the majority of the decorations, the majority of the outside decorations are pretty much done. We got to put our podcast sign up still and the little projection thing. Mm-hmm. But then we got to go pick up a tree. I want to pick up a tree. And we got to do our decorations inside. But it's looking like Christmas in the neighborhood. Like, dude, we didn't get much of a break in between, did we?
No. Yeah. There's already traffic coming within. But I love that though.
Yeah.
Like our neighborhood.
I don't mind it.
Yeah. It's a little different, but I enjoy it. And it's not like it happens throughout the year. It's October.
And then December.
We have a break in November. And then it comes up again in December, and it's fine. And the kids love it. They love going out with their friends, and especially Audrey loves to walk, that girl. She'll wake up early and then just go for a walk, or in the evening she'll go for a walk. And yeah, I think we mentioned it before. These are going to be memories that last, that stay with them forever.
Yeah.
you know, and it's something that I enjoy because I didn't experience anything like this growing up during the holidays. So I'm experiencing it now with our kids.
You know, like yesterday we went to go visit our goddaughter for her birthday.
Yes.
And when we were driving back, we passed by the Anaheim Angels training facility here in Phoenix. And every Christmas for their, like at their facility, they put up all these lights, and it's like a thing that you can pay and drive through. And we've never gone. Like, we always pass by it, and the kids are always like, oh, let's go. And it's like, yeah, we could go. And now it's like, yeah, we could go check it out. But we have that, like, literally outside our door.
Right.
Literally, like, just step outside.
Yeah.
It's like fucking winter wonderland out here.
Yeah.
You know?
I was on Facebook right before we got on here, and I read a post which has me a bit emotional, even though I was emotional before we got on.
It's been an emotional day already.
Talking about the difficulties of the holidays, and she lost her son, and on her Christmas tree there's a picture of them, you know, and though the holidays are great for some, for others it's a hard time. It's hard. A lot of people go through a lot of challenges because of loved ones that they lost, like during this time. And I think it's important for us to be aware of that, you know. Yeah. One of my clients, it's a difficult time for her for a lot. It seems like it's a difficult time of the year.
Well, you know, yeah, you're right. And this comes up for a lot of people, like you said. When it comes to, like, when you have these thoughts of somebody that you lost or whatever, like, how do you deal with it? You know, because the only thing that I can think of is probably like your sister, right? Because that's one that comes up often. That's
huge. Because
right? What thoughts do you have, like, when you start missing your sister?
Yeah.
And when you start getting into, like, thoughts and memories about your sister and you start feeling sad?
Well, for me, it's missing her. And I do this all the time, and you always tell me I shouldn't do this. But I think about, like, my nephews and my niece. Ugh. Like, not having her, you know, and it's difficult because though they may not express it, I know that the holidays are difficult for them.
Yeah.
And it's just me being, I'm aware of that. So I try to be there for them and leave that space open for them to talk to me, you know, and then just sharing memories, like fun memories, like looking at all the great times, you know, just the things that we've done together, the memories that are created. She lives within.
And that's what I was going to say is, like, depending on what you think about, it determines the mood that you're going to be in. Because, like you were saying, if you're thinking about, you know, our nephews and our niece that, you know, she left behind,
right,
then you can start getting sad.
Oh yeah.
About, you know, the things that she's missing out on, that she's not experiencing, or that they don't have their mom around to see. And, you know, but when you shift into thinking about the moments that they were happy. And for me, a lot of times I want to think about, like, how do I want people to remember me? You know, like, I don't want people to be fucking sad when they're thinking about me. You know, yeah, maybe it's sad that I'm gone or whatever, but I don't want people to be sad. Like, I would rather them immediately think about funny times or good times that we had together, you know, instead of being sad. Maybe being sad in that way, that's fine.
Right.
But not like just moping and, crying.
Yeah.
It's like, shit, at least we had good times. You know what I mean? And I think that is a good way for when people are struggling through times like this, like through the holidays, through Thanksgiving and Christmas, when everybody's coming together and maybe you don't have your dad around or your mom around or your brother around or whoever. It's like, yeah, it's sad. But what times did you have with them? And how would they want you to remember them? Would they want you to be sad through the holidays?
Right.
I don't think they probably would. I don't think most people would feel that way.
Yeah. I also think about the years that we had together. Like my sister and I, she passed away at a very young age, at the age of 34. And the time that she was alive, I did what I could to be with her, to spend time with her, to talk to her. And I think that sometimes we take each other for granted. And we don't put the effort into doing the things that we feel we should do.
Or
I don't know, like
things that are important to us.
Mm-hmm. Like family. Family always takes family for granted. Like, oh, they're always going to be here kind of deal.
Yeah.
But it's just being aware of that and picking up the phone and just, I'm saying for those of us that are still here.
Yeah. I don't know why, but this example just kind of came up for me, for boys anyway, for young boys when they have their first girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Like your family and your friends is kind of like, it's like your family. You get your first girlfriend, you fucking disappear from your friends and your family. It's like they're gone,
Yeah.
But it's like they are the most important thing in your life. It's just that something's happening in your life right now. Mm-hmm. And then eventually you always end up coming back around,
Yeah.
And maybe you should not just like go off the deep end over here and, you have that balance.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, it just came to mind. It's just being aware and being there for those that may be struggling through the holidays and reaching out and being that person, to hold that space if they need to speak to, if they need someone to talk to or if they need a hug. Yeah, just being aware and being there.
Yep. But it is nice. It is like, seeing the neighborhood come alive. And in Arizona here, it's a beautiful time of year. So kind of like Halloween, the kids are all running in the street and everybody's doing up their houses. And
the sun, today, I don't know. I prefer to be comfortable.
What do you mean? Like it's too cold for you?
Well,
60 degrees is too cold for you?
The sun goes down at 5:30.
Not just that, but yeah, it does, because we don't do the daylight savings here in Arizona. We have, it gets darker earlier.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
it's
so we
12
don't have,
and it's 62 degrees right now.
Yeah, and we don't have that much time with, the sun being out, and it just gets dark early.
I wonder if there's something to that, because you do like it seems like every year when it takes you a little bit to transition. It's like you're always like, I don't like
gloomy.
that it gets it's like,
I get, yeah.
You could not live in Seattle or someplace like that.
No, I'd be sad.
Yeah.
But even you were like, what time is it? Because I feel last
yesterday,
night you
like yesterday, the fucking time in the night, like it just fucked me up. It knocked me out like at 8 o'clock at night. I was like, it feels like it's 10:30. Good night, everybody.
And he's like, I don't know what it is. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if it's just because maybe we're, getting older, or if it's that the sun is going down sooner, or is it both? I don't know.
Dude, yeah.
But it was hilarious because you did crash out really early.
Maybe it's that age thing. I'm just getting older. It's like anytime you get horizontal, you just start falling asleep. I got to see, you know what? I got to start watching TV standing up.
Yeah.
I'll just start standing up next to you guys watching TV.
I remember always when we would watch a movie with your mom.
Yep, that's right.
All the time. And she would say, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this.
Yep.
She said it because anytime I lay down.
That's funny. I do remember that too.
I'm out.
That was like 10 years ago, right?
Right. And it was funny because every time we would watch a movie with her, I would look over.
And she was out.
And she'd be out.
The tables have turned.
Right.
Oh my God. So yeah, but man, one thing that has come up every once in a while, I haven't been thinking about it a lot, but it's like, holy shit, 2023 is over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're going into 2024. Like, time is flying. And I don't know if it's maybe just like that getting older thing. Like, as you get older, time goes by quicker.
My dad would always tell me that. He said after 25.
Time starts moving faster.
After 25. It's like, where did the time go?
Yeah.
But our children also, Joey has mentioned, he's talked about time, which is really weird because I don't remember being young and really saying, oh my God, today went by so fast.
He thinks about some things sometimes that I'm like, I don't know if most kids would think about that stuff, which is kind of like why I told you I was watching this video about like highly intelligent kids and some of the struggles that they have. And I'm like, for him to like be 11 or 12 and contemplate time.
Right.
It's like, I don't know if most 11 or 12-year-olds are doing that.
I've never, Audrey hasn't really mentioned it.
Yeah.
Or if Joey says something or if one of us says something, then she'll be like, you're right.
Yeah.
But it's if we bring it up. Speaking of Audrey, I don't know if we talked about this in our previous podcast about her solo.
No, we didn't. I think, so on the last episode, real quick before we move on to anything else. Last episode, I said that the things that we were doing in Georgia and South Carolina were all free. They were not all free. They were almost free. Well, I don't like, saying that, all this shit that we were doing was free. It wasn't free. But a lot of the stuff was like, you pay $11 for me, $11 for you to get in.
Yeah.
It's not
parking.
Not a big deal. Pay for parking, pay to get the car, and it was like $10.
Yeah.
So almost free.
What made you go back to that?
Because the concert came up while we were away. So we find out that my friends are, having this 40th birthday party for my friend Peter. We all find out that we can make it. We book these tickets and we're like, hell yeah, we're going. And then it was like a day later or 2 days later, it's like, oh, Audrey gets a solo in like a state choir thing where they're getting all the students together from different schools. It's like the best singers from the different schools in the state, and they're all going to sing together in a choir, and she has a solo in it.
And we're not going to be here. And that was the first concert that we did not attend. And it was the biggest concert where she had a solo. I know. I was like, I need to get somebody there. So I'm so grateful that my mom and my stepdad made it and recorded it.
Yeah, and we got recordings of her solo and everything. Yeah. She did awesome.
But what I was going to share about that is that if you've been following us or listening to us for a bit, you know that Audrey is a bit of an introvert. I don't know if I would call her that, but she's a bit shy. For instance, like if she has something that she needs to return to the store, she wants me to go with her. Or if I'm needing milk, right? And I'm like, hey, I'm going to drop you off. Go get the milk, whatever. Sometimes she's like, Mom, come with me. Like she doesn't
want to do the talking.
have to force her. I have to force her to actually go do. Where Joey, I'd be like, Joey, we need some milk. And he's like, okay, gone. Give me the card.
Yeah.
I'll go get it. And he'll handle it and ask questions if he's lost or, if he doesn't know where it's at, he will ask questions. And Audrey's very hesitant for that. So it's just weird. It's different things. But this girl, to say she's shy is not true. Because would a shy kid go for a solo in front of, the auditorium, they said was packed. It was full.
Yeah.
And to put herself out there where she's singing a solo.
Yeah, they would. Because being a singer has nothing to do with being an introvert.
But I'm saying performing in front of, being shy, or...
It doesn't matter. She might have to work through some feelings that others may not have to work through. But if she wants to be a singer, she'll do it. You know, because I remember when I was in the military, and it was like it wasn't my first opportunity to be a leader, but it was pretty much the second time. Like when I went to my training school, I signed up to be a leader. But one of the things about being a leader was that you had to talk to the whole squadron of people. And that was like 500 people. And that was like the last fucking thing that I ever wanted to do. But it's part of being a leader, which I did want to do. Mm-hmm. So even though I didn't want to do this, I did want to be a leader. So I was going to push through the anxiety and the not wanting to be in front of everybody and do it. Mm. And then once you start doing it more, you get comfortable with it and you're like, oh, this isn't a big deal. You know?
Right. Because she's had smaller solos in the past.
Yeah.
And she did fine. And this one was a huge event, though.
Yeah. And you shared something with her. Oh, man, I can't remember exactly the
yes.
phrasing or how he talked about it. But it was a coach that you listened to, Steve Chandler. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about his daughter singing
yes.
and what he shared with her and about like really just kind of like going out there and like letting it out. Like
yes.
just singing from
your soul.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's like giving it everything you got and performing as if it was, he said, this is what the advice, performing the song as if it's yours, you know, and he had advised his daughter, had her watch a show, which really lit her up. And I can't remember who the singer was, but it's practicing the song over and over and over again until you own it. And then when performing the song, it's like, it's just you and the song.
Yeah.
And
you can hear it when somebody does something like that. Mm-hmm. You can hear it in the music. Like if you don't record it, you'll never hear it like that again. Maybe it'll never be exactly the same because every you might have other moments where you're in the music that way, but it'll probably be different every time.
And it happens. Like he was sharing about how Michael Jordan.
I was going to share something about that. Like kind of like the feeling of that. You know, for somebody like me that feels the way I do about God and spirituality and all those things, these things are, it kind of like brushes up against it where it's hard to explain and people will try. And I will be like, yeah, but I still don't think you know what you're talking about. Like there is no way to put words, kind of like what we were watching today. There is no way to explain what that is like. When somebody sings from what some might say their soul, mm-hmm. there's no way to explain like how that happens or what is happening. Like what you were about to say, like Michael Jordan, or when somebody hits that flow state. You might watch somebody doing sports like a running back in the NFL, and it just seems like everything that is happening, he sees it before it happens. Mm-hmm. People try to grab him and he's not there. He makes a freaking spin move and the dude, like, he is just one step above everybody. Michael Jordan did it in fighting where they just can't touch the dude and he's just lighting the other person up. It's just, it's hard to explain when things like that are happening. You know what I mean? And I feel like it all kind of comes from a similar place.
Yes.
And that's what people call God.
Yeah.
Or that these things come from God.
It's like when I'm coaching.
Yeah.
I feel that every time I'm in this room and I'm coaching a client, I'm working in that space.
But these things that people would say that come from God, right? They don't just happen to anybody. Because you don't have somebody that doesn't sing at all that all of a sudden belts out a one-of-a-kind performance. You don't have somebody that doesn't know how to fight that all of a sudden gets into this flow state in a fight where they just do this. You don't have somebody that doesn't play basketball that can get into that. It only happens to people that are experts in this stuff. They are such experts in it that it becomes their thing. You know what I mean? Because that flow state probably would happen to Whitney Houston. Like just being in a song.
Well, we're talking about two different, I don't
think so.
Because she was a gifted singer. Michael Jordan was a gifted player. There's nobody like Michael Jordan. There's nobody like Whitney Houston. There's nobody like Mariah Carey.
But these things aren't going to happen to the average person.
I feel like I'm average. And the way I coach is
I'm not saying like you're like average, but I'm saying these people are people who don't just get by. Like, okay, you have hit what you would say kind of like a flow state when you're coaching somebody.
All the time when I'm with my clients.
All the time. What did it take for you to be able to get to that point? If you didn't focus on that, if you never learned more about it, if you just kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of good with people. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan didn't just sit around. He shot jump shots. Whitney Houston, I'm sure she sang and practiced singing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're good with people, but it's not like, yeah, I'm good with people and that's it. No, you got books in front of you. You study. So it happens to you. You can hit these things because you do these things. Mm-hmm. That's the only way you'll ever get to those things. I don't think every basketball player in the NBA will hit those type of states, but there are certain ones that will. Kobe Bryant did. Michael Jordan did. You know, there's a few players that every once in a while it's just like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is when you hear somebody just sing a song, and then when you hear somebody sing a song that almost makes you cry or does make you cry. Right. That is different.
Right. No, yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
These things are hard to explain.
I don't know.
Speaking of not knowing, that is something that I've been looking into a lot lately. But before we get into that, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositestattrackpodcast.com. When you guys go to our website, the first thing that'll pop up is a resource list with all kinds of books and videos and podcasts that we've listened to that helped, help make us think differently about different topics and parenting and relationships. And, like the world today kind of sees things in a certain way. And some things might be good. Some things might be different than they were in the past. And we're all just trying to do the best we can at this thing. And the list that we put together are things that have helped us, kind of shape some of the things of how we think, and it might be beneficial for you. And another thing, it's another way for you guys to stay in touch with us so that if something was to happen to the show, we can still get a hold of you guys. And we've seen, there's a couple people, there's actually somebody on YouTube that I followed that lost almost everything because he didn't have his audience, a way to get a hold of his audience, So if you guys want to stay in touch with us and you want to know what we're up to, make sure you go to our website and give us your name and your email, and we'll be able to stay in touch. And another thing that you could do to support the show is click on the Support the Show tab. That'll take you to our Amazon link. Any purchasing that you do for the holidays through that Amazon link doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us out.
Yes, yes. And if you would like to support the show in a different manner, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod and buy us a virtual drink. You can also subscribe to that on a monthly basis as well.
Yep. Buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod.
That's what I said.
Yep. So I don't know if, man, over the last, I don't know, few months, 6 months or whatever, maybe I'm just getting old, and I've been saying that a lot.
Yes, you said that at least 3 times on this podcast.
But I think as you get older, like you start thinking about more I don't know if it's phases in life that you start thinking about more.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Isn't it like you just start to really look at what's important.
Well, just an example of that. I mean, the last, I don't know how many books that I've been listening to. Let me see. I mean, one of the recent ones was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which was kind of like, it's supposed to be a book about, it's weird because it's a book about the meaning of life. Mm-hmm. But I told you that when I was listening to this book, and there's a movie out about it, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And the way that I found this book was I was watching a video about Elon Musk. And it was like, he was saying that it was his favorite book. And that it's kind of like about the meaning of life. And I'm like, well, he's pretty smart. So like, I wonder what this fucking book is and what. And then I start listening to it. And it's kind of like if you were to listen to a comic book. Like, the shit is just outrageous. It's like kind of like the title, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And there's like a towel that'll save your life or some shit. It's fucking weird. And
I'd be so confused, I think, if I read that book.
And I was.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the book, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I was like, maybe.
Oh, yeah, see.
And I told you, I was like, maybe I'm too stupid to understand like what the fuck is going on. Like, I just don't. But you know what? Since then, I listen to something else. But right now I'm listening to Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. That's like another philosophy book that a lot of people that study therapy and all that, like, it's a famous book, and it's written by a guy that was in a concentration camp and all that stuff. But it's all these things about like, what is, like, as I'm getting older, it's like, what is life about, and what is the meaning, what is the purpose, and all this stuff. And then before we start, what's up?
That in anyone that you've asked, these questions start to come up at the age
right around
40. 40. I remember specifically.
I'm half dead.
40, no, is when like a light bulb starts going off. And it's not like you're thinking, I was not thinking about death.
No, it's just you're contemplating things.
You're just like, what really matters? Like, what is it? Yeah, these questions start to come up, and
I wonder how that changes even more.
I mean, I think how old was I when I had that spiritual experience? Because that kind of hijacked not everything.
Yeah.
You know, where I started questioning and asking questions and, you know, who is God? What is my purpose? What was this about? Yeah. Why did this happen to me? Like, you know, just all of that. Yeah.
So, and what I was going to say was, so I was listening to that video with Elon Musk, and he's sharing this book. And when I got done, I was telling you, I was like, I don't get it. And then now I'm listening to more stuff, and I'm listening to more books. And then little by little, I'm like, maybe I get it, you know, because at the end of the book, you're just like, I don't think I understand. And I think that's the point. The point is that no matter what,
you will not.
You will never understand.
Our human.
So just have fun.
Exactly. Our human brain cannot.
Which I was like, is that it? Is that what this book is about? But, you know, then you start listening to other philosophers, and there's one that I came across called Alan Watts. Mm-hmm. And I've mentioned him on here before, but yeah, definitely check out some of his videos. And he was just talking about like existence being weird just like being alive, and how when you get to a certain age, you start asking questions like, why is this? What is the purpose of life? What is the meaning of this? And you start looking around and you look into space and you're like, what the fuck is out there? You know, and then you start questioning things and you start wondering, and then maybe you start looking stuff up, and then you're like, okay, people have looked some of this stuff up, and then you start learning, and it's like, okay, the stuff out there is made up of the same stuff that's over here, and then we start looking into the stuff that's here. And he was talking about how you put things under a microscope to find out what they're made of. Mm-hmm. And you'll always find something. And you keep turning up the power on the microscope, and it keeps breaking things down smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where it's like molecules and atoms and shit just bouncing around. Mm-hmm. And everything is made up of the same shit. And then you realize that there's so much space between these atoms and these things that it's almost like there's nothing in between. So then most things that we see or that we feel, that we touch, that we think are solid have mostly nothing in between them, which is fucking crazy to even think about.
Right. Everything is an illusion.
And like, as I'm thinking about all these things, I start thinking about like, what is like really just nature, like the natural world and animals and trees and life, like living things. Because people like to put a lot of stories and things on us, things that we don't even realize are made up. Because maybe they're a good thing. Like maybe it is a good thing that we made up. It doesn't mean that things that we make up are bad. But kind of like I was telling you about, like morality and even something like debt. Debt sounds like, we've talked about debt a lot on this podcast, and debt sounds like something that it just makes sense. Like you don't want to be in debt. Why? Why don't you want to be in debt? What is debt? Debt is something that somebody fucking made up. You know what I mean? It's part of the game that we play in this life that we live, but debt is still something that is made up. And if, like the way I feel, maybe we didn't come from a God, maybe nobody's watching us, maybe there is no heaven and hell. It's like, well, at the end of the day, if
maybe this is heaven,
debt is something that we made up, and corporations are something that people made up and all this stuff, it's like, dude, before I go out, I'm racking up all my credit cards and peace out. See you later. I'm living my best life. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we're all making shit up anyway. You know what I mean? And the more and more I study shit, the more I realize we're just taking in everybody's ideas non-stop. And it doesn't mean that these things aren't facts. Like some things are facts, but some things are opinions. Some things are good. Some things are bad. You know, but it's just things that other people make up. All of it.
And we're all different, but then we're all the same.
Right.
Right? Like
right.
When you think about what really matters, what is everyone looking for? What is everyone wanting to feel?
Love.
Joy.
Seen. Understood.
Peace. That's what we all are striving for. And what really matters.
Yeah. And that's why, like, when you start looking at things that way, like I think it was yesterday when we were driving home from our goddaughter's birthday. I think that was when I was just kind of talking to you about, like, when you start seeing things like that and start understanding, like, life is what it is. All these things, the houses, the mortgage, the job, the bank accounts, these are all just made up things. People used to live in forests and in tribes, and like these are things that were created by humans in society. Like, what is actually important? If everything is made up, then to me, if religion is made up, if the economy is made up, if my job is made up, if all this stuff is made up, the only thing that's really important that I actually really do care about is my family. That's what's real to me. Everything else is made up. And whatever I have to do to be happy, to keep my family happy within this game that we play, then I'm going to figure out how to do it. You know, because even a few years back, I felt a certain way about, and I'll even say it like the VA, because that was something that I feel like a patriotic person, but even that is a story. Why? Because I was born on this land. That makes me different than the Mexican on the other side of this imaginary line. Why be patriotic? We're all people.
Right.
You know? So with the VA, I felt like I got more from the military than, you know, I've benefited more than I gave to the military, right? That's how I've always felt. Like the career that I have, the military discounts that I get everywhere I go, you know? But for me to like file for disability, like so many people do when I feel fine, like I just didn't feel right about it. But at the end of the day, when you think about it, no, it's the truth. These are all games. Like you look at the veterans that need the money, they don't get it because you don't know how to file correctly.
Right.
The
Which
fuck
is
out of here.
ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of them suffer because
play the game. If it's, you know what that also reminds me of? It reminds me of let's get this fucking podcast completely taken off the air. When
be sure you go to
make sure you give us your name and email.
Go to our website, download the resource list so that we have your email, so we have your information, so we can stay in contact, people.
This is a perfect
because
example.
Miguel, you hear me say it all the time.
We're about to get canceled. Well, listen. Dave Chappelle talked about this when he was on Saturday Night Live, and he said that let's get Trump and Hillary Clinton involved in this, so
Dave,
that we can
shut your face.
Listen. He was saying something about like Trump coming out, and he was just like being straight up about his stuff. And they asked him something about like, why don't you change the loopholes in the tax code? Like if it's all fucked up, why don't you change the tax codes? Or they asked Hillary or something. And it was like, or no, I think he was saying the tax code's all fucked up. And they were asking Hillary like, well, how come you haven't done anything about it or whatever? And Trump's like, I know it's fucked up because I use them. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, she's not going to do anything about it because all of her friends use the same tax benefits that I'm using.
Right.
That's how I know they're fucked up. And when it comes to shit like that, it's like, this life is a game. So figure out, like we've said, and the thing is that I've been saying this for a while. And then the more you look into it, the more you realize that this game is way bigger than you ever you thought that it was just this and this that was a game. No, your entire fucking life is a game.
Yeah.
The house that you live in is a game. How we pay for this is a game.
Yeah.
Like, what is important? We're important. The kids are important. Are we hungry? Are we happy? These things are important. You know? And that's why, like, at a certain point, it's like, you know what? We just got to figure out how to make it happen, make it work in a way that's most convenient for us. That's what life is about, you know, and help people along the way.
Play the game.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's tough because
there's so much involved.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of
so
games
much
to fucking
involved.
play.
Yeah. Yeah. But the people that figured it out.
But then that opens up possibilities for anything. Because kind of like, you know, the technology age or whatever, you know, like there's a lot of jobs. Podcasting wasn't a thing a few years back. You couldn't be like, what are you going to be when you grow up? I'm going to be a podcaster. What the fuck is that? You know what I mean? But realizing that this thing is a game does open up a lot of possibilities, because that also means like, what if for you to be happy, it is moving into the woods and growing your own shit and just being in a little community with your family. Maybe for you, that is happiness. That's how you do it. That's your game. Fucking play it. You know, maybe for somebody else's, you build something that spits off enough cash to where you can enjoy the time that you have with your family and do the things that you want to do. That's your game. Do that. You know? But it doesn't mean, like, for everybody, for the longest time, the only game in town was 9 to 5. Wake up, go to work, do this shit, and right. Die.
Yeah.
But when you realize that it's a game, it's like, how can I do it? Any way I can get it, I'm going to get it.
Choose your game.
A little bit here, a little bit there, and you figure it out. You know?
Yeah.
But it's tough. Because kind of like you were mentioning earlier this morning, like sometimes it seems like it's just so much easier to just go to work when they tell you to.
Yeah.
Go to lunch when they tell you to. Do what they tell you to. Wear what they tell you to. And then go home when they tell you to. And be back the next day when they tell you to. And then you don't have to fucking think about
anything.
All the possibilities of what your fucking life could be.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that ignorance is bliss? Is that what that is?
I was telling Miguel, maybe I would be a better employee. That's where this conversation came up from.
No, I think I've had that thought too.
You know? Hi, baby.
If you guys are watching on YouTube or Facebook, we got Nisi, our oldest dog on the podcast. Dude, we've had her for 17 years.
Wow.
Almost. Yeah.
This dog is so in love with me. Like, it's insane. Right? Like how
she follows you everywhere. You go.
And Audrey, today we were sitting in our office, all of us, and Audrey came and she sat next to me on the sofa. And Nisi saw how close she was to me and was crying. Like she did not want her that close to me. And this dog just follows me everywhere. And when she looks at me, I just feel so much love from this dog or whatever this is. You know, it's amazing how pets, what they do for a family, the lessons that are created. Yeah, and the love. I mean, the kids, I'm like, can you guys imagine not having any pets?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, because just having a pet teaches them so much about forgiveness, unconditional love. Every day's a new day, right? And even us.
Yeah. Even life and death.
All of it.
Yeah.
And we went through that experience with our dog, Frazier. And it's something that, the loss we shared as a family.
Yeah.
And we still, it's just ongoing. And now we have Nisi girl.
Yeah. They're sweet.
Life and death.
It's part of life, you know? And, man, what's up? What were you thinking?
Well, because we're talking about life and death. And yesterday we were at our goddaughter's party and her great grandfather was there.
Yeah.
And we were talking about life and death. We were, just in that conversation. And he was sharing that he doesn't feel
old.
Yeah, he doesn't feel old. And sharing about, what's important. And just, I love sitting with those that are older, that are wiser, and they're willing to share, because I don't have any grandparents that are alive. to sit and to ask questions, and what are the things that, you know, you wish that you would have known early on, or things that you wish that you could have done, or just, you know, just all this stuff. And having this conversation yesterday, you know, with my goddaughter's great grandfather and great grandmother, and just talking to them and listening to them and having these conversations about life.
Yeah.
And he was sharing that his granddaughter wanted, you know, they were talking about just stuff.
Yeah.
And he said that he had this gold necklace that he wanted to give to her. And he's like, why wait until I pass? I'm going to give it to her now because I want to see her
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a cool moment. That was pretty cool. Yeah, and in that moment I was thinking, I was like, I have my gold necklace that I got from my grandfather. Right. And I got it after he passed away. My grandmother gave it to me. But yeah, like those are thoughts and things that kind of come into my head too. Like this materialistic stuff. You know, like lately I've been talking to you about this watch that I want. And I like it. Like it's a cool watch. It matches everything. It's a Bruce Lee watch, right? But at the same time, like what I was saying earlier with all the things that we take in, like people's ideas, these are all other people's ideas, but they're not all bad. They're not good. Like sometimes listening to somebody else's idea is going to open your mind to something.
Yes.
And kind of like I was telling you, like there was something that I was listening to this paper this guy Peter Singer wrote in 1972, and it's talking about how pretty much everybody's bad. Like we all do bad things, because if you have the ability to help out somebody else, then you should. And that means at any time. So if you have extra money where you don't need to buy new clothes, or you don't need a new car, or you don't need any extra luxury, that comes down to even going out and buying a cup of coffee when you could just make one at home. Mm-hmm. Then you should help somebody out. If you could help somebody that is hungry, that doesn't have food in their stomach, then you should do that. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do that, that's bad. Mm-hmm. Like that's kind of the way this dude is breaking it down in the paper. Mm-hmm. And kind of like I'm listening to it and I'm like, it's kind of hard to fucking argue with this dude's points. Mm. And maybe I'm starting to feel like shit, you know? But like I said, the dude has a point. Mm. And it's like, do I need a $500 Bruce Lee watch? I don't. And kind of like when we were sitting there, you know, at our goddaughter's birthday and we're talking about the gold necklace and everything. It's like, yeah, I would rather watch somebody enjoy it than have it for myself. And then thinking about the watch, it's like, what about spending $500 on helping somebody else out? Like that would, yeah, I think I would rather that, you know? And then, but at the same time, listening to this dude's paper and knowing like, but these are still your ideas and I can live my life however the fuck I want to live it.
Right.
I don't have to give every single penny to whoever. But maybe I can do a little more. You know? So it's like taking a little bit from everything.
Yeah. So many of us are living someone else's lives because of ideas that were planted within.
Yeah. Man, thinking about living somebody else's life. Is that why you try to play the game and you don't be an employee? Because that's pretty much what I mean, maybe not though. I don't know.
But the conditioning comes throughout generations. Because the first people that are teaching us are our parents, and they're teaching us what they were conditioned by their parents.
Yeah.
Whether it's right or wrong, And it's passed down through generation. And then we get into our education.
Yeah.
And then we get into our
Conditioning,
religion.
the brainwashing.
All of it.
Yeah.
And it's just passed down from one generation to the next.
Yeah.
So at the age of 40, you start thinking for yourself.
You know, I think maybe we just were not meant to fucking live in groups this big the way we do.
It's too much shit. Sorry, listeners. They're like, oh my God.
God, these motherfuckers went off the deep end this week. What kind of shit are they on?
So many of us are living.
That's what happens when you turn 40. You start
people's lives.
Thinking about all kinds of shit.
It's like, what is it that you want? What is it that brings you joy? What is it that brings you unconditional love and peace? It's like, it's really thinking.
Well, you know what? And maybe that's what the purpose or the goal of 2024 is, you know?
And some of your thoughts are not even your thoughts.
Right.
Holy. Okay. Yeah. You know, it's something that you were told, something that you were taught. And that's why you think the way you think. Dude,
and what is so crazy is that some things that for some people, not for everybody. I don't, and you got to be careful because you have to understand that you have your own biases.
Right.
Like your brain is so powerful that it will trick yourself. Like for real.
Oh yeah. No. I'm laughing because it's true.
There's just things that we get into that people identify with so much that, like being a Republican or a Democrat or whatever. And it's just like such a big part of them. It's like, you don't realize you're none of these things.
Right.
These are all ideas that somebody fucking made up.
Exactly.
You know? But speaking about like the goal, maybe the goal is to play the game in your own way, you know? And I was kind of thinking for next year, kind of like I already mentioned on here, one of my goals is to get this VA thing going because it's just anybody that has heard of or dealt with the VA, it's just a hassle. You know, you have to go back and forth and they tell you no. Just to share with you guys how fucking ridiculous the VA is like I'm starting out with just trying to put in my minimum claim. I worked on fighter jets, which are loud as shit. And I'm putting in a claim for hearing loss and like hearing damage. And they're like, sorry, not service related. And it's like, how? I worked around like heavy machinery and running aircraft for years in the military. How is it not service related? Sorry, right. Fuck off. You know? So we just got to, like I said, play the game. So figure out something so that I can get it put in. And then, like I was telling you earlier, there's people that have like automated YouTube channels that their channels just, they know the videos that they're making. They have voiceovers done. They put ads on them. They're not controversial at all. And they get paid like clockwork. It's a game. Whoever has that channel figured out that game. We've talked to people about Amazon direct selling fucking whatever the fuck. Mm-hmm. That's a game. There's people that make crazy money and they figured out that game. Even still, crypto took a shit. And I can guarantee you that there's a group of people that are making money in crypto today. They figured out that game. And like I said before, I think back in the day, we used to just think that the only game around, and maybe technology changed everything. And back in the day, really the game was work for somebody else or build your own shit, which might be a little bit harder.
COVID also changed the game.
COVID did change the game.
Yeah.
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 It changed a lot of things.
And it was there. Yeah, let's not go there. But
you want to get into some conspiracy theories? We're gonna do
Our time is up.
No, I want to get into it. Oh my God. And with that, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com.
Happy holidays.
Yep. Make sure you guys are playing the game. And if you guys want to play the game with us, make sure you go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. Give us your name and email when the resource list pops up. If you guys want to help us out, You can click on the support the show tab and help us out through there. Like I said in the beginning of the show, best thing you guys can do is leave us a comment, subscribe, thumbs up, share something with somebody, and let them know about the podcast.
Thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Attract podcast.
Where we get better
together. Bye.